Alright guys, this is just a video for our quick review series that we always do after we beat and complete a rather long sprawling game, or just a game that I think people will be interested to know my thoughts on. I have played through Digimon World 2 Vanilla. We played through it a long time ago on stream. That playthrough exists if you want to go back and watch it. And now, many years later, we have returned to Digimon World 2, but this time playing the alternative mod. We were playing a specific version of the game, which may change in the future. So if you guys are watching this review 3, 4, or 5 years from now, and the game has been updated since, there might be some discrepancies to what I'm talking about. But if that's the case, just be aware. Also, all of my emulator settings for the playthrough and any tips I have will be in the description as well. So bear that in mind. How did I find this game on the whole? How did it compare to the original? If you guys are going to play through a Digimon World 2 experience, should you play through Vanilla or should you play through this one? Digimon World 2 is a game that came out many years ago. The fact that the team behind Digimon World 2 Alternative have put so much effort and love and passion into this is incredible. The Alternative mod is a fantastic overhaul of the original Vanilla game and adds a bunch of stuff. It basically takes the original game and just makes it slightly better in the beginning, and I'll elaborate on this as much as possible as I go. So it gives you a bit more variety on which Digimon you're going to run, which Digimon teams you want to build. It gives you new Digimon to fight instead of the same ones over and over again out in the wild, which is really awesome. That was one of my favourite changes. The alternative mod also recrafts the story slightly, gives in little dialogue lines here and there to characters, changes some of the story elements to make a bit more sense from like a narrative point of view, which is also very welcome. There's a lot of beautiful references to the other Digimon World PS1 games in this game, specifically a lot of attention given to Digimon World 1, which is the predecessor. Obviously, Digimon World 1 and Digimon World 2 Vanilla, they don't really interconnect at all. This game changes that slightly and makes it a bit more connected, a bit more natural, and that is beautiful for the OG fans. If you guys like the original Digimon World, you'll find some flavour in here that you might appreciate. Other features that I liked is that the skills in this game have been slightly rebalanced as well. When you're reading through the skills themselves and using them in combat, the translation of what the skills do is often a little bit clearer than it normally would be, which obviously makes some of the more intense battles against the bosses a little bit easier. Little quality of life changes, like you can rename your Digimon in the Colliseum, which is cool, but most importantly, when you're catching Digimon in the wild, Alternative mod makes it so much easier and so much more pleasant and so much more consistent to actually acquire wild Digimon. So this game, as you know already, is extremely grindy, and I'll talk about that in a minute when I talk about the negatives, but Digimon World 2 Vanilla is extremely grindy, and in addition to that, there's a lot of things that can trip you up when you're out and about in the dungeons. You can break down, you can run out of steps, you can stand in a mine, you can get return bugs. There's a lot of changes to the alternative mod that didn't exist in the OG that kind of cuts that nonsense out. When you're capturing Digimon, for example, if you manage to get a massive love heart above the Digimon's head, the max love heart, it means you are guaranteed to catch it in alternative mod, which is hands down probably the best change that exists in the game. Other than that, Digimon World 2 Alternative makes the game a lot longer, and in a game that is already very long as it is, Alternative mod has received some criticism from what I've seen online, from what I've seen you guys talking about in the chat throughout this playthrough, and from ourselves playing this game. The game is extremely grindy in the mid and late game, and I think that's going to burn a lot of players out. Now, because we are absolutely crazy and because we're psychopaths, we were committed to this 100%. However, even though we've spent about 140 hours getting through this game, not a lot of people will. This game will take you a long time to get through. If you're playing it in little chunks over a long period of time, many months, you might have a pleasant experience from start to finish, but just understand that this game is chunky. Vanilla Digimon World 2 is chunky because of how you fuse your Digimon together, how you improve your Digimon's power level, the constant Digivolutions that have to happen, constant catching of Digimon over and over again. It's a very long, and I would say excruciating process at some moments. The alternative mod actually doubles down on this, guys, and it makes it a little bit more treacherous. Obviously, the hardcore fans we managed it, and other people will manage it. Luckily, we're in a world where if you are really desperate to see the end of the game, obviously you can kind of boost Game Shark codes into the game to maybe get through the final hurdles if you feel the need to do so. I certainly wouldn't feel ashamed of doing that. I know a lot of people will probably turn their nose up and be like, oh, cheats, that sucks, whatever. But honestly, you guys are going to understand what I mean. If you get this far into the game, guys, if you've played it yourself with your own hands and seen it with your own eyes, you'll understand why the finale of this game starts to drag its heels. Throughout the game, the dungeons get bigger, and although there are a couple of short dungeons in between, in the middle, those are far and few between, and a lot of these dungeons will have increasingly more floors as you go through the game. So a word of warning, I don't mean to over-criticize this point, because I've made that point I'm trying to make, right? It's very long, it's very grindy. It's much longer and more grindy than the original game, so please bear that in mind. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide if you've finished Alternative Mod or you've been playing it recently. Please leave me a comment right now on this review and tell me what you think. If you agree with me, excellent, that's cool. If you disagree, please let me know why. I'm not 100% on this. The only way you can criticize a game in this much detail, you have to have played it, invested a lot of time, you have to have loved it. So again, it comes from a place of love, but there's a lot in this game that will trip you up in the late game. Some other kind of points to make about the downsides very, very quickly before we wrap this review up, but there are moments in this game where you will feel cheesed and you will feel a bit frustrated. We never encountered a single return bug, which is the little bug that if you get it in the dungeon, it sends your Digimon back to the city. I feel like that has been completely removed from Alternative. And I could be wrong about that, but I didn't see one. I packed return bugs over and over and over again. I never saw a return bug in my life, which is definitely a huge improvement, so at least that's gone. There's going to be invisible mines. Even when you upgrade your radar fully, you're going to be standing in bombs in the end couple of dungeons, and that can be a bit treacherous. If I could have complete creative control of this game, again, I'm not a programmer, so again, this is purely one man's simple opinion, and it is often a simple opinion at that, but if it was up to me, I would have shortened this game out, I would have thinned it out. I'm not saying this is what they should do, I'm just saying what I would have preferred. So if I was the god of the digital realm and I could completely snap my fingers Thanos style and remove stuff from this game, I would take out some dungeons, I would thin out the levels of the dungeons themselves. Instead of having like 30 floors in the final dungeons, I'd have some of the middle dungeons only maybe have like 10, 15 floors. Just shorten that experience, because realistically, after a point, you're only gaining so much value, in my opinion, when you're fighting in these dungeons against these Digimon. Now, this is a difference of opinion because, again, some people will want that long experience, that long haul experience, the marathon experience, and some people will just be playing with a bit of enjoyment to start, and then eventually, if they're a completionist personnel, they're going to want to get to the end. But again, that's just me. Confusion and paralysis in this game is a rather toxic mechanic. The injury mechanic is a bit more normal to deal with, you can handle that, but confuse and paralysis specifically is a bit problematic at times. When you get paralyzed, you have a 50% chance to land your attack, or you miss, right? The problem is that you can often paralyze the enemies as well. Paralysis can be your best friend, just like the enemy can abuse it. However, there will be fights in the game where even if you can paralyze them, they often cure the paralysis after one turn and you don't get any value on it. Meanwhile, they are AoE paralyzing your team with interrupt moves, guaranteed to land. It's a bit of an issue for me personally. The fact that you can be paralyzed for 8 turns, miss 7 of your attacks, and then you paralyze the boss and he cleanses it, that's just unacceptable. Obviously, it's a video game and the game's trying to give you challenges. Sometimes in these RPGs, the boss has unfair mechanics, but it can feel really taxing and very draining in a game that is already extremely long. There's other little things they could have put into this game, maybe potentially to speed up the grind and reduce the taxing part. It would be nice if, at a certain point of this game, when you're like maybe 3/4 of the way through it, 80% of the way through it, when your shopkeepers are maxing out, I would really have liked to have seen a shopkeeper just sell you a DNA up chip. And then it's up to you at that point, as the player of a single player game, do you want to buy the chip? If you want to use that and abuse it, you could. It would certainly make the grind a lot easier for some people and definitely make the experience more enjoyable. I think that could have been nice. Again, rebalancing of the XP could have been cool as well. Maybe an item that the shopkeeper sells you later on in the game to maybe just give you more XP from fights would be really cool. It would be really nice if they could buy Piximon's manual, which is a nice throwback to the original Digimon World one. One of these shopkeepers could actually sell you Piximon's manual, and again, you could make it expensive, but maybe then once you get that, any XP you earn from fights is maybe multiplied by like 1.5, 2.0, whatever you want. You could sell different types of manuals, the basic manual, the intermediate manual, the advanced manual, and they could actually give like better XP multipliers. Again, I'm just thinking about longevity of this game and giving your players tools to let them enjoy the experience rather than just banging their heads against the wall for 150 hours, right? Again, I don't know how easy it is to implement these features, but if that option was there, it could have been nice. All in all though, Digimon World 2 Alternative is a great time. If you are a true Digimon fan from the days of old, I played this game a bunch when I was a kid, the original of course, and I love it. It's got a special place in my heart. It is a very taxing game though, and even the most hardcore of fan will be pushed to their limits finishing this one. It's a very stressful experience, and if you guys have busy lives as it is, this will knacker you out massively. But it is a good experience. I think there's a huge amount of work put into it, and I would like to thank the alternative mods, the developers themselves, the team who have worked on this mods. I wanted to give them a huge thank you on behalf of the Digimon community for taking the time to put so much effort into this and make truly an awesome experience for the fans who are, you know, keen on the original game. It's just a nice step up. And again, we've talked about a lot of the criticisms, but that's just the way that these reviews are. That's me, guys. Digimon World 2, definitely leave your thoughts and feelings. There's so much more I could cover on this, but realistically, that's the meat and potatoes of it. I've had a good time with it. It's long, it's grindy. Jump into it if you fancy it. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Peace, guys. Thank you for watching this review. Bye-bye.